Welcome to Košice 2.0 series, a series focused on citizen experience, public services, decision-making based on data, improvement of well-being, and last but not least, on the growth of civic engagement. In today's episode, we will discuss: how can data inform better policies? Is data the holy grail for informing better policies, or is there something else we need to reflect on? For designer and innovation specialist Michaela Magas is all about the quality of the data we collect and which systems of measure we use in the first place.
New European Bauhaus, for example, what we have recommended is to reconsider, for instance, how we collect data from the ground, from the citizens. Gathering evidence not from statistics, but from actual grassroots experimentation on the ground, so hands-on experimentation as evidence of best practice. You can't very easily convert it to statistics. You can say, well, X amount of people have participated, but in truth, what you really want to know is what was the quality of the collaboration, how was the challenge tackled, and what was the result. So for instance, there we're looking at qualitative data, and this is, as you probably are aware, far harder than counting numbers usually.
Carlos Martins tells us about his experience in the city of Guimarães, working on a more grassroots method of collecting data.
Things are so fluid, so rapid in the way they change, that we want to, instead of just collecting data yearly, for instance, have a permanent collection of data through social groups in different villages, in different sectors, in different age, demographic kind of elements. And we organize this structure in 20-something different groups. And so they are a kind of a permanent process of dialogue and data. We call it cultural clubs. And then we have researchers from the university prototyping new devices for these people to keep bringing information. So this is what we call it, this lab. It's a permanent lab based on social criteria that form this kind of cultural clubs around the region. And with this, we have a permanent source of actual updated information.
Artist Dane Rosgaard is more skeptical about behavior change through data.
Personally, I think people won't change because of data, but because of experiences, right? We know the data, we know smoking is bad, we know sea levels rising, we know etc. But somehow the data doesn't trigger us to change. And I think that's maybe the way our body is programmed, like we change because of an experience. Somehow this obsession with data, I'm scared we're triggering the robot in ourselves instead of the creator. And it becomes, as we know now, a control mechanism so easily instead of an exploration tool.
Austrian architect Gabu Endel is also skeptical about the way data is currently being collected and how urbanism has been recently influenced by big data.
At the end of the day, I haven't seen any of this, let's say, the data production that we see behind big data and smart cities that have produced more affordable housing. So what we need is actually alternative numbers, alternative calculations, alternative information gathering to also make sure that we really cover the wide range and the heterogeneity of the city.
Professor of Cultural Economics Pier Luigi Sacco thinks we are still a long way from considering culture an important factor in behavioral change, and that the cause is intricately connected to the way you measure it.
Still today, for example, if we want to compare cultural participation in any field across Europe, we cannot, which is crazy. We need to measure it in the appropriate way, and especially to test it, because for many people still today, taking culture seriously as a platform of behavioral change, it's not obvious at all. I think that for the future, for example, for making people more sensitive, for example, to pro-social environmental goals, or making people more, for example, prepared to social cohesion objectives like, for example, inter-ethnic cooperation and so on and so forth, or let's say become more open-minded and imaginative through culture, well, when we start considering culture as a relevant policy option for this, it means that we are finally getting it. But there's still a long way, honestly.
In spite of that, Michaela Magas believes the culture sector's unique tools are the key for collecting more relevant data.
Examples of really good practice, narratives about the human experience, for instance, really affect policymakers. They really understand the human condition and how something affects people on the ground. So they are a very, very good tool. Narratives, which of course the culture creative sector is really good at.
It is crucial to gather qualitative data to comprehend different social phenomena. Understanding data is necessary to be able to evaluate them and compose narratives. The data itself does not bring change. The change comes because of the experience and understanding of what is happening. Do we really understand what's going on in the life of a city? We will explore this topic in the third episode.